I closed my eyes and I rubbed my aching head, trying to remember how things had spiraled so far out of control. It had started with a little typo, and now I'm having my own little apocalypse right in my living room. "Look, Satan," I said. "I don't know why you're here on Earth, but can it wait? Now's not really a good time for me to be caught up in whatever you're planning. I'm trying to finish a novel right now." "Well, I could come back after you finished, but I was hoping to get out of hell before it froze over," Satan said. I sighed. "If you're going to show up uninvited, you could have at least given me a warning. I thought you'd be happy to see me. Satan, in the short time I've known you, you've turned my house into a zoo and my daughter into a conduit for satanic magic. Why would I be happy to see you?" Satan rubbed his chin. "First off," he said, "who doesn't like the zoo?" "Ahem," Frank-N-Teddy cleared his throat. Right," Satan said. "Sorry, forgot about the whole bear thing. But seriously, Derek, your daughter was already, oof." Miss Hatchetface elbowed him in the ribs and he stopped talking. "Look," I said, "if you want to take over the world, I can't stop you. But you can't stay here while you do it." "Take over the world?" Satan asked. "I'm the CEO of hell. Why would I want to take over the world?" "Miss Robbins said you were going to take over the earth. And you believe that old bat? She was just trying to get your goat, Darren. That's how she is." "I do not understand how a goat is involved," Frank-N-Teddy said. We both paused, looked at him, and then turned back to each other, continued as if he hadn't said anything. "Okay then, if you're not here to take over the planet, then why are you here?" I asked. "Well, being the CEO of hell is stressful. You have to deal with all the Earth politicians and oil executives all the time. I needed a vacation, so I decided to come up here and take my daughters to Disneyland." "What?" "Don't get me wrong, we have theme parks in hell too. But riding the blood luge for the billionth time is a little uninspiring, you know what I mean?" "Not even a little." I sighed and squeezed my eyes shut, rubbing the eyelids until little fireworks shot into my vision. "Fine," I said. "Let's go to Disneyland, I guess." "And there we have it." Satan clapped his hands together, grinning. "It's just a nice, wholesome family trip to Disneyland is all. I'm ready when everyone else is." "You mean now?" I asked. "Yep, the cab's waiting outside, Daniel. We all packed while you were unconscious." "My name's not Daniel, it's..." But my head went all fuzzy as I tried to think of what my name was. "Oh boy, Frank-N-Teddy really did a number on you, huh?" Satan said. "Don't worry about it. I've got a great doctor down in hell. He'll fix you right up. He can even take that nose down a couple sizes while he's at it." "No thanks, Satan." Before I knew it, suitcases were being tossed into the van and we were all piling in like sardines in a can. All of us except Miss Robbins. I didn't bother to ask where she was. Miss Hatchetface was wearing a long black skirt that hid her tail. Satan had simply put on a suit and a cowboy hat, insisting that it made him look human. And Frank-N-Teddy was dressed in an enormous fuzzy brown teddy bear suit. "I look ridiculous," he said as he dropped himself into the van's back row of seats. The van tipped to the side under his weight. "But you were already a teddy bear," I said. "If anything, you just look cute now." "It is not my mission's objective to be cute." The taxi driver eyed us in the rear view. "Are you guys going to some sort of convention or something?" he asked. "We are escorting the offspring of Satan to the magical land of Disney." "You what now?" "Don't listen to him," Satan said. "We're just a normal American family going on our weekly trip to Disneyland." "Right." "Hey, wait a second, Satan," I said. "Didn't you say we were bringing along your daughters? Where are they?" Satan tugged his collar. "They're, waiting for us at the park. Don't worry about it." Miss Hatchetface cocked her head to the side and gave him a quizzical look, but she didn't say anything. Soon we were on the road. Satan and Sarah were sitting in the van's middle row while Miss Hatchetface was squeezed into the back seat between Frank-N-Teddy and I. We had wanted to put someone in the front seat, but the cab driver had insisted that he needed to keep his golf clubs up there, even moving them out of the trunk to do so. We were about 15 minutes on the road when a thought suddenly occurred to me. "Hold on a second," I said, turning to Miss Hatchetface. Why are we taking a cab? I can just drive us. She smiled at me. Do you remember what your name is yet? She asked. Of course I do. It's, But my head went all fuzzy again when I tried to think of my name. What is my name again? I asked. Your name is Mr. Sillyhead, Sarah giggled, turning around and squinting those bright blue eyes with unrestrained childhood joy. Frank and Teddy turned his big, fake head towards me. I was not aware of your new name. Apologies, Lord Sillyhead. Satan didn't answer. He was leaning over the back of the front passenger side seating, grinning at the driver, asking him questions like, how did you get your skin so tight, and do Earth people drink blood? I felt Miss Hatchetface's warm hand close over mine. Your name is Darren, she said. Her big black eyes glistened like ink-colored jewels. My name is Darren, I repeated. The next thing I remember is rolling up to the gates of Disneyland and piling out of the van. Likely the oddest group of tourists who ever darkened the Magical Kingdom's doorstep. The cab driver seemed like he was in a hurry to get rid of us, and he nearly slammed the door on Satan's arm when Satan opened it up to give him a tip. The driver took one look at Satan's outstretched palm and peeled out of the lot, muttering an expressive stream of curse words and something about crazies. What did I do? Satan asked innocently, holding his upturned hand out. Are those human finger bones? I asked. Well, of course. We don't use that money here, Satan. Oh, well, where can I exchange it for human money? Try the police station. Nice try, Jerry, I shrugged. People pointed and whispered at us as we passed through the crowd at the gate. Before I knew it, we were at the front of the line. The Disneyland employee selling tickets was a young, pimply-faced teenager with braces. His mouth hung open so low when he saw us that I thought his tongue might fall out. How many? He asked. The 742 offspring of Satan demand entry to the magical land of Disney, Frank and Teddy boomed. And also us 5. What? Satan tugged at his collar and grinned at the kid in the ticket booth, swirling his finger in a circle around his temple in the international sign for crazy. Hold on, Satan, I said. Didn't you say your daughters would be waiting for us? They're, already in the park. Did you just call him Satan? The kid asked. Satan's just my nickname, Satan responded. He threw the kid a wink and said, You can call me Mr. Satan. Just take the tickets, the kid said, thrusting the tickets under the slot. But I didn't give you any money, Satan replied. That's okay, this one's on me. Wow, what a nice young man, Satan said, turning to us and handing out the tickets. He turned back to the terrified ticket teller and grinned. I know you're not allowed to accept tips, but we'll just keep this between us two. And then he slid the finger bones under the slot in the glass. The ticket seller's eyes blew up to the size of golf balls, but Satan had already turned back towards us. All right, he said. You guys go on and have some fun. I need to go handle some business. Without waiting for our responses, he simply turned on his heel and strode off into the park at a brisk pace. Miss Hatchetface stared at Satan's back as he left, a little wrinkle in between her brows as if she was considering something. I wonder what Satan's daughters look like, I said to no one in particular. Huh? Miss Hatchetface responded. I said, Frank and Teddy. Miss Hatchetface cut me off. Yes, Lady Hatchetface. Can you take care of Darren and Sarah for a bit? I need to go check something. I am honored that a lady would entrust me with such a, my lady. I have not finished speaking. But Miss Hatchetface either didn't hear or didn't care because she was already 20 feet away, silk skirt swishing around her hips as she hurried after Satan. Sarah looked up at me and grinned. I want to ride all the rides, she squealed. Then we shall ride them all. People turned to stare at Frank and Teddy as his same baritone cut through the ambient noise of the park. I hope they have the blood luge. But when we arrived at the first ride, Frank and Teddy was sorely disappointed. What do you mean I'm not permitted to ride the ride? He boomed at the cowering teenage worker. It's really a safety requirement, sir, due to your size, he said. If I am too small for the ride, then I shall enlarge myself. Enlarge? I shall enhance my size. It's okay, Frank and Teddy, I said, smiling and patting him on the arm. I'll take Sarah and you can wait here with the nice employee. The employee looked rather sick at the prospect of spending more time with Frank and Teddy. Can we get ice cream after? Of course we can. I want a human blood-flavored snow cone. At this, the ride attendant turned so white that even his pimples weren't red anymore. We left Frank and Teddy there and climbed aboard the ride. Sarah screamed with joy the entire time, and when we got off, she was hopping around me in circles, hair askew and sticking to her face. That was the best, Daddy. Can we go again? Can we? I almost said yes before I saw Frank and Teddy. He was sitting on the ground with legs splayed out, staring directly at the teenage employee who he still towered over even sitting down. I couldn't see the expression on his face through the teddy bear costume, but I'd guessed he was glaring. We better go get some ice cream first, I said, because Frank and Teddy. My voice was washed out by the overwhelming screech of microphone feedback, and then a familiar voice came through all the speakers of the park. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Satan's amplified voice echoed. We at Disneyland have a special treat for you today. Just then, Miss Hatchetface ran up panting. Little beads of sweat dotted her forehead, and her hair looked as if she had attempted to fly away. I tried to stop him, she gasped out, taking big, heaving breaths between every word. He's going to. But she ran out of breath and couldn't finish. Satan's voice continued on, bouncing off the walls of the park. For some time now, we have been considering an interdimensional partnership with our colleagues in Hell. However, due to some problems during the negotiation, we decided to simply give the park to Satan and his demons. Isn't that wonderful? All around the park, people were staring around in all directions, mouths flopping open like fish as Satan's voice went on. So, if you don't want to participate in the grand opening of the very first hellscape on Earth, I would suggest you leave within the next 10 seconds. I half expected there to be a mad stampede for the gate, but people just stood there dumbstruck, looking around as if some rational explanation would suddenly jump out of the hedges. What did jump out of the hedges was not an explanation, and it was definitely not rational. I heard the screams before I saw the reasons for them. Big purple behemoths were erupting from under the cobblestone streets, sending pieces of pavement flying. Little leathering creatures buzzed around like mosquitoes on rainbow-colored wings. Sarah screamed as a 30-foot snake slithered past us, and then screamed again when the snake came back to ask where the bathroom was. The behemoths smashed into the rides with huge stone clubs, and the air was filled with clouds of dust, splinters of wood, and chips of shattered brick. The ground beneath us cracked like a humongous egg, and new rides exploded forth, tangled masses of ancient yellow bones and twisted metal. Purple flames erupted around the gates, erasing any hope of escape. People scattered like pool balls after a break, tripping over themselves and running into the walls. How is he going to get away with this? I asked, turning to Miss Hatchetface. The US government will send the National Guard down here in a heartbeat. Miss Hatchetface gulped and shook her head. The government's initiated a massive cover-up, she said. It's part of the terms of sale of a high-ranking politician's soul. The intercom screeched again, and suddenly the park went still as we paused to listen as the voice of Tina, Satan's secretary, came through. Can Mr. Darren Rogers please report to the front office? I repeat, can Mr. Darren Rogers please report to the front office? Thank you. I could feel the color drain from my face as the others all turned to look at me. I swallowed hard, thinking that whatever Satan had in store for me, it most likely wasn't good. But then I felt small fingers wrap their way around my hand and squeeze. I looked down to see Sarah smiling up at me. Don't be scared, Daddy, she said. I'll go with you. I smiled back down at her, and we started off towards the office together. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You want me to open up a franchise of theme parks across the continental United States? Satan nodded as he adjusted his tie in a wooden frame mirror on the wall. That's right, Devin. But why? What do you mean, why? He asked, momentarily looking over at me. For the same reason anyone does anything, Devin. Money. What? You live in hell. What could you possibly want with Earth money? Well, first of all, Satan said, giving up on his tie and sitting down at the desk which had used to belong to the park manager. I never wanted to live in hell. Satan took a little round mirror out from his pocket and began picking at his teeth, and I took a moment to scan the walls behind me. Mascot heads were mounted behind it like hunting trophies. I hope the costume heads were empty. Second of all, he said, flicking a large piece of lettuce across the room, do you have any idea how expensive a human soul is? I didn't know you could actually sell your soul. I thought that was a myth. Well, I can't, but any creature that has a soul can. You mean you don't have a soul? Of course not, Satan said, grinning at himself in the mirror. Because you're a demon. Because I'm a CEO. Oh. Look, Derek, I've got big plans for us. Us? You, me, and Sarah. I've always pictured my total dominion over hell and earth as a family business. Unfortunately, most of my daughters take after their mother, who all happens to be crazy. Satan, do you maybe think you're the one who... And in case you haven't figured it out yet, Sarah is my direct descendant on Earth. A thought flashed through my head with a twinge of pain. Something about a ritual. I tried to seize onto it, but it was useless. The thought had gone. That's absolutely ridiculous, I said. Is it? Satan asked. The ritual of Amud Magar is the ultimate test, Eric. Nobody but my direct descendant could have opened the portal between hell and earth enough to allow me passage. How is that possible? Well, the 70s were a crazy time, Darren. Sexually, I mean. Who's to say there aren't thousands of little half-demons running around on Earth? I mean, we've all seen Honey Boo Boo. What does Honey Boo Boo have to do with anything? Exactly, and yet wherever I turn on the TV, there she is. Satan. Yes, Jerry. Can we please get back to something relevant? I thought Honey Boo Boo was culturally relevant. Well, no, it's not 2014. And besides, I mean relevant to you taking over the Earth. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be taking over the Earth. To make money. Exactly. To buy souls? Bingo. If you're taking over the Earth, can't you just take people's souls? Satan shook his head and sighed. A soul has to be willingly given, Devin. Don't you watch horror movies? Actually, I don't like horror movies, and I don't get it. What are you going to do with all those souls? We sell them. What? I don't really have time to explain the basics of the free market to you, Jerry, but buy low, sell high. That's the gist of it. At this point, I realized that I was getting nothing out of this conversation but a headache. I brought my hands up to my face and rubbed, letting out a long sigh. Mr. Rogers. Miss Hatchetface's voice came from behind me. Do you mind if I cut in? Please do, I replied. With all due respect, Satan, she began before Satan cut her off. Mr. Satan. With all due respect, Mr. Satan, have you really thought this through? Who on earth is going to buy human souls? Well, I expect the humans will buy them back at inflated prices. It's not too fun having your soul owned by the devil after all. So, you want to make money so that you can buy souls, and you want to sell the souls to make more money. Isn't that a little circular? Satan sighed. Look, he said, you're overthinking it. It doesn't matter if the plan makes sense. It matters if it makes money. Where on earth did you get your business degree? Oh, an online college. Miss Hatchetface smacked her palm on her forehead. Look, Satan. Sorry, Satan said. I better take this call. Satan picked up the receiver and held it to his ear. As he listened to the person on the other end, the grin slowly melted from his face, replaced by a frown and a furrowed brow. And you're absolutely certain, he said after a few minutes of silent listening. He paused to listen for a response. That's impossible. Already? He paused again. But we're on Earth now. Surely they wouldn't. Wait, what? Earth 2? Satan's frown deepened. What am I supposed to do about it? There are some things I can't even... Yes, I understand. I'll be right there. Satan looked as if he had aged 10 years in the course of a 10-minute phone call. His normal carefree grin had been replaced with lines of deep worry. He let out a deep sigh and he rubbed his forehead. He put on a forced smile and he looked up at us. Well, he said, clapping his hands together. I've got good news and bad news. Oh no, Miss Hatchetface said. The bad news is that I have an urgent matter in hell that has been called to my attention and I need to go see it immediately. And the good news? Miss Hatchetface asked. The good news is that I'm turning my Earth operations over to my direct human descendant. Wait a second, I said. You can't possibly mean... That's right, Satan beamed. Sarah is now acting CEO of Disneyland Hell. Disney Hell? Well, picking a name can be her first act as CEO. She's 5 years old, I said. Yes, they grow up so fast, don't they? Satan said, absent-mindedly while checking his watch. Don't worry, it's a small matter really. At the very most, it should only take a couple thousand years. Before I had the chance to protest, Satan had vanished in a roar of flames and smoke. The room was silent. We all stared at each other in disbelief. All of us except for Sarah, whose grin was slowly spreading from the corners of her mouth to light up her whole face. This means I can get all the cotton candy I want, she squealed. We all sat in the fold-out chairs behind the podium while the captive demonic and human populations of Disney Hell milled around us below. Sarah was standing on a stool so that she could reach to the microphone on top of the podium, fumbling with a piece of paper. It was the speech that Miss Hatchetface and I had helped her write, with unwanted additions from Frank and Teddy. Frank and Teddy had taken off the head of his teddy bear suit the moment we had arrived in Satan's office. He now sat off to the side, absentmindedly licking a red snow cone while it melted and dribbled down the front of his costume. Friends, Sarah said nervously. Demons, I have gathered you here today to announce a change in Disney Hell management. Satan has gone away on urgent business and, in the meantime, I'll be your acting CO. I cringed at this last part. Sarah pronounced the word as CO. You may be wondering what this means for the future of the park. For one, all cotton candy is now free. A raucous cheer went up from the demons in the park. Secondly, all flies of butter are not to be harmed on pain of death and eternal damnation. The demons nodded and a few confused mutters went up from the humans in the crowd. Thirdly, Sarah said, folding the paper up into a neat little square and placing it in her pocket. Have fun. The demons broke out into applause once again. I wondered if they might not be used to a less relaxed work environment in hell. There was an awkward silence for a moment as the humans and demons below wondered what they were supposed to be doing. Finally, the giant snake that had asked Sarah for directions to the bathroom spoke up. Let's get this party started, he said, slithering up to the little boy and his terrified parents. Climb on. The little boy did as he asked, awkwardly stumbling onto the snake's head. The snake lifted the boy up 50, then 100 feet and then tipped his head backwards. The boy slid down the snake's enormous back as if it was a slide, gliding over the bumps and kinks in the snake's body. Finally, he rocketed up the upturned tail and launched into the air. The snake positioned his head underneath the boy. Was he going to eat him? My worries were quickly allayed as the boy hit the snake's head with a soft thud, and the snake lowered him down like a crane next to his parents. The boy shivered, pale as a ghost. He opened his mouth to speak. That was awesome! It seemed like an invisible dam had broken and the children fluttered around the demons and the new rides. Sarah turned and looked at us happily, if a bit smugly. I don't get it, I said. They're not afraid? Me neither, said Miss Hatchetface. Perhaps I can explain, Frank and Teddy said. We looked over at him to see that the snow cone had melted all over the front of his suit. I wondered if he had gotten any in his mouth. For beneath my fearsome demonic exterior beats the innocent heart of a child. I fought the urge to ask him if he meant that literally. The heart of a child is still capable of being shaped by the world around it. Children do not hate or fear those who are different with them without any good reason. They are accepted, embrace the joy, and wonder that the world has to offer without suspicion. In this way, children are wiser than even the most learned scholars among us. A fly landed on my nose and then flew away unperturbed as I stared at Frank and Teddy in silence. Finally, Miss Hatchetface spoke up. That's a beautiful sentiment, Frank and Teddy. She turned to me. I didn't like the sound of that phone call at all, though. We need to find out what Satan's up to. Frank and Teddy interjected again. I am also privy to the Dark Lord Satan's secret plan. You what now? Miss Hatchetface sputtered out. Why didn't you tell anyone? Frank and Teddy merely shrugged. Nobody asked me,